Overcoming Stupidity and Embracing Wisdom according to Carl Jung and Epictetus. The concepts of wisdom and stupidity have been explored by many thinkers throughout history, but few have provided as profound insights as the Stoic philosopher Epictetus and the psychologist Carl Jung. Their teachings offer timeless guidance on distinguishing between the foolish and the wise, and provide practical steps for overcoming stupidity to cultivate a life of strength, wisdom, and success. This essay examines their perspectives on the characteristics of the stupid man and the wise man, and outlines actionable strategies to transcend foolishness and embody wisdom. By addressing specific traits, such as refusing responsibility, emotional reactivity, and surrounding oneself with negativity, and drawing on Jung's psychological insights and Epictetus's Stoic principles, we can chart a path toward personal growth and fulfillment. Carl Jung on stupidity and wisdom. Carl Jung, a Swiss psychiatrist and founder of analytical psychology, did not explicitly categorize people as stupid or wise in simplistic terms, but his theories on the psyche, individuation, and the shadow provide a framework for understanding these traits. Jung believed that human behavior is shaped by the interplay of the conscious and unconscious mind, and that personal growth requires confronting and integrating unconscious aspects of the self. The stupid man in Jung's framework. Jung's concept of the shadow, the unconscious repressed parts of the personality, offers insight into the traits of the stupid man. A person who refuses to take responsibility, as Jung might argue, is avoiding the shadow. This avoidance manifests as arrogance, denial, or projection of one's flaws onto others. For example, someone who believes they know everything may be compensating for insecurities buried in the unconscious. Jung wrote in Psychology and Alchemy, 1944, "The greatest and most important problems of life are all fundamentally insoluble. They can only be outgrown." The stupid man, in Jung's view, fails to grow because he avoids self-reflection, clinging to a false sense of certainty rather than facing the discomfort of his limitations. Jung also emphasized the dangers of emotional reactivity. In his work on the archetypes, he described how unintegrated emotions can lead to possession by unconscious complexes, causing impulsive reactions rather than thoughtful responses. A person who gets upset by any small problem may be under the sway of such complexes, unable to access the reflective capacity of the ego. For example, a manager who lashes out at an employee over a minor error demonstrates this lack of emotional control, missing an opportunity to address the issue constructively. The stupid man who surrounds himself with fools or avoids those smarter than him may be exhibiting what Jung called the persona, a superficial mask that protects the ego from challenge. By staying in a comfortable environment, such a person avoids the tension required for growth. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of integrating the conscious and unconscious to become a whole self, requires facing discomfort and embracing challenges, which the stupid man avoids. The wise man in Jung's framework. Jung's wise man aligns with the archetype of the sage, a figure of inner clarity and self-awareness. The wise man pauses before responding, reflecting Jung's emphasis on conscious self-regulation. In Modern Man in Search of a Soul, Jung wrote, "The only right and legitimate way to such an experience is that it happens to you in reality, and it can only happen to you when you walk on a path which leads you to higher understanding. This path involves humility, self-examination, and learning from mistakes, qualities of the wise man." The wise man, in Jung's view, is disciplined and takes responsibility for his actions. By integrating the shadow, he acknowledges his flaws and uses them as opportunities for growth. For example, a wise leader might admit to a strategic error in a project, analyze what went wrong, and adjust their approach, rather than blaming external factors. Jung's individuation process also suggests that the wise man surrounds himself with diverse perspectives, as engaging with others fosters self-awareness and growth. Epictetus on stupidity and wisdom. Epictetus, a Greek Stoic philosopher of the 1st century CE, focused on practical ethics and the art of living well. His teachings, recorded in the Discourses and Enchiridion, emphasize personal responsibility, emotional resilience, and rational judgment. For Epictetus, the distinction between the foolish and the wise lies in how one exercises control over their perceptions and actions. The stupid man in Epictetus's philosophy. Epictetus would view the stupid man as someone who fails to exercise their faculty of reason and allows external circumstances to dictate their state of mind. He famously stated, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength," Enchiridion 1. The stupid man who allows his environment to control him or gets upset by any small problem is, in Stoic terms, enslaved to external impressions. Epictetus also criticized those who refuse to take responsibility or learn from mistakes. In the Discourses 1.2, he wrote, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The stupid man, however, rejects this humility, clinging to imperious opinions and avoiding self-criticism. For example, a student who repeatedly fails exams but blames the teacher rather than studying harder exemplifies this folly. The Stoic perspective also condemns indulgence in fleeting pleasures or relationships that leave him empty. Epictetus advocated for moderation and purpose, warning against pursuing temporary gratification over lasting virtue. A person who seeks constant entertainment or superficial connections, as Epictetus might argue, is distracted from the pursuit of eudaimonia. The wise man in Epictetus's philosophy. For Epictetus, the wise man embodies virtue, self-discipline, and rational judgment. He stays calm during a storm, aligning with the Stoic ideal of apatheia, not the absence of emotion, but freedom from being controlled by passions. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens," Enchiridion 1.1. The wise man plans his actions, focusing on what he can control, and responds thoughtfully rather than reacting impulsively. Epictetus also emphasized learning from mistakes and surrounding oneself with virtuous influences. He wrote, "If you associate with those who are wise, you will become wiser," Enchiridion 33. The wise man seeks out those who challenge and elevate him rather than reinforcing folly. Financially, the wise man practices discipline, saving, and investing for the future, as Epictetus would advocate, aligning actions with long-term goals rather than short-term desires. Overcoming stupidity and becoming wise. Both Jung and Epictetus provide complementary strategies for overcoming stupidity and cultivating wisdom. Below, we explore practical steps to address the specific traits of the stupid man and embody the qualities of the wise man, supported by examples and insights from both thinkers. 1. Take responsibility for your actions. Jung's concept of shadow integration requires acknowledging one's flaws and taking responsibility for them. This means facing uncomfortable truths about oneself rather than projecting blame. Epictetus similarly stressed that freedom comes from focusing on what is within one's control, our actions, judgments, and attitudes. To overcome stupidity, one must stop blaming external circumstances and own their choices. Example, consider a person who fails to meet a work deadline and blames their team. A Jungian approach would involve reflecting on their own procrastination or poor planning, while a Stoic approach would focus on controlling their response, perhaps by creating a better schedule. By taking responsibility, they begin the path to wisdom. Action. Practice daily self-reflection. Keep a journal to note moments where you avoided responsibility and consider how you could have acted differently. Ask, what was in my control and how can I improve? 2. Embrace humility and face your limitations. Jung emphasized humility as essential for individuation, as arrogance prevents self-awareness. Epictetus echoed this, advising, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows," Enchiridion 2.17. The stupid man's belief that he knows everything stems from pride, which blocks growth. Example, a student who dismisses feedback from a teacher because they believe they're already competent is stuck in folly. By humbly accepting critique, they can learn and improve. Jung might suggest exploring the unconscious insecurities behind this arrogance, while Epictetus would urge focusing on the pursuit of truth over ego. Action. Seek feedback from others, especially those smarter or more experienced. Actively listen without defensiveness and commit to one actionable change based on their input. 3. Surround yourself with wise influences. Jung's idea of individuation involves engaging with diverse perspectives to broaden one's understanding, while Epictetus explicitly advised associating with those who embody virtue. The stupid man surrounds himself with fools, negativity, and doubters because they reinforce his comfort zone. To become wise, one must seek out those who inspire growth. Example, a young professional stuck in a toxic workplace surrounded by complainers might feel validated in their stagnation. By joining a professional network or mentorship program, they can connect with ambitious, wise individuals who challenge them to grow. Action. Identify one or two people whose wisdom or success you admire. Reach out to them for advice, attend their events, or study their work. Limit time with negative influences. 4. Learn from mistakes. Both Jung and Epictetus stress the importance of learning from errors. Jung saw mistakes as opportunities to integrate the shadow, while Epictetus viewed them as chances to refine one's judgment. The stupid man doesn't learn from mistakes and always complains about failures, while the wise man analyzes and adapts. Example, a business owner whose venture fails might complain about market conditions, folly, or analyze their pricing strategy and customer feedback to improve their next venture. Jung would encourage exploring the emotional triggers behind the failure, while Epictetus would focus on actionable lessons. Action. After a setback, write down what went wrong, why it happened, and one lesson learned. Create a plan to avoid the same mistake, such as setting clearer goals or seeking expert advice. 5. Cultivate emotional discipline. Jung's work on complexes highlights the need to manage emotional reactivity, while Epictetus's Stoicism teaches that emotions are shaped by our judgments. The stupid man reacts instead of responding and gets upset by any small problem, while the wise man pauses and stays calm. Example, during a heated argument, a foolish person might yell impulsively, escalating the conflict. A wise person pauses, breathes, and responds calmly, seeking resolution. Jung might suggest exploring the unconscious triggers for the anger, while Epictetus would advise reframing the situation as an opportunity to practice virtue. Action. Practice the Stoic pause and reflect technique. When faced with a challenge, count to 10 before responding. Over time, this builds emotional resilience. 4. Plan and act with purpose. Epictetus emphasized the importance of deliberate action, stating, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." Jung's individuation process also requires aligning actions with one's deeper purpose. The stupid man doesn't plan his actions and projects, leading to chaos and failure. Example, a person who impulsively spends their income on luxuries rather than saving or investing is acting foolishly. A wise person creates a financial plan, prioritizing long-term goals like retirement or education. Action. Set one clear goal, for example, saving $1,000 in 6 months, and break it into actionable steps. Review progress weekly to stay on track. 7. Choose challenge over comfort. Jung's individuation requires embracing discomfort to grow, while Epictetus warned against indulging in pleasures that distract from virtue. The stupid man chooses comfort over challenge and seeks fleeting pleasures, leaving him unfulfilled. Example, someone who avoids a challenging job opportunity out of fear of failure remains stuck. A wise person takes the risk, knowing it will lead to growth, even if it's uncomfortable. Action. Identify one area where you're choosing comfort. for example, avoiding a difficult conversation or procrastinating on a project. Take one small step toward the challenge, such as scheduling the conversation or starting the task. 8. Build meaningful relationships. Epictetus and Jung both suggest that relationships shape our character. The stupid man's fleeting relationships leave him empty because they lack depth or purpose. The wise man seeks connections that foster growth and mutual support. Example: a person who spends time with shallow acquaintances for entertainment might feel lonely. A wise person invests in a few deep friendships or a mentorship, which provide emotional and intellectual nourishment. Action: reach out to someone you respect and propose a meaningful activity, like a discussion group or collaborative project. Limit time with draining relationships. 9. Practice financial discipline. While Jung did not focus on finances, his emphasis on discipline aligns with the wise man's ability to save, invest, and succeed. Epictetus' Stoic principles advocate for moderation and prioritizing long-term goals over short-term pleasures. Example: a foolish person might spend their entire paycheck on luxury items, leaving him broke and stuck. A wise person budgets, saves a portion, and invests in opportunities like education or a business. Action: create a simple budget, allocating a percentage, for example 10%, to savings or investments. Automate transfers to enforce discipline. 10. Free yourself from stupidity. To free yourself from stupidity, both Jung and Epictetus advocate a lifelong commitment to self-improvement. Jung's individuation requires ongoing self-reflection and integration, while Epictetus' Stoicism calls for daily practice of virtue and reason. Example: a person who recognizes their tendency to react impulsively might commit to daily meditation, Jungian self-awareness, and Stoic exercises like premeditatio malorum, anticipating challenges. Over time, these practices transform folly into wisdom. Action: create a daily routine that includes one practice for self-awareness, for example journaling, and one for discipline, for example reviewing goals. Commit to it for 30 days to build habits. Carl Jung and Epictetus offer complementary perspectives on the distinction between the stupid man and the wise man. Jung's psychological insights highlight the importance of self-awareness, shadow integration, and embracing challenges for personal growth. Epictetus' Stoic philosophy emphasizes rational judgment, emotional resilience, and focusing on what is within one's control. The stupid man refuses responsibility, reacts impulsively, and avoids growth, while the wise man takes accountability, responds thoughtfully, and seeks continuous improvement. To overcome stupidity and become a strong, wise, and successful person, one must take responsibility, embrace humility, surround oneself with wise influences, learn from mistakes, cultivate emotional discipline, plan purposefully, choose challenges, build meaningful relationships, practice financial discipline, and commit to lifelong growth. By integrating Jung's and Epictetus' teachings, we can transcend folly and live a life of purpose, resilience, and fulfillment.